What is the most problematic aspect, or one or two most problematic aspects of that order? I know there's a legal dimension and it's important, and also a policy dimension, which you've written eloquently about.
To me, the most problematic aspect was that it was unlawful. I stated repeatedly. Other than that,
You get trouble from the strangest things.
I know. No, it's, no, look, I said repeatedly in my dissenting statement that I don't express an opinion as to the wisdom of any particular municipal broadband project or the propriety of municipal broadband generally. The only question before the FCC, in my view, was whether or not the agency had the authority under the Constitution and laws of the United States to preempt state laws restricting municipal broadband. And in my view, the answer to that question clearly was no. Reading Justice Souter's opinion in the 2004 case of Nixon versus Missouri Municipal League, I think it's pretty clear that if Section 253 didn't serve as a sufficient basis in terms of providing a clear statement that Congress intended to give the FCC preemptive authority, there's no way that Section 706 did, especially when you consider that Congress, when they drafted Section 706, explicitly considered giving the FCC preemption authority and declined to do so. That was stripped out in the conference report. And so I think, you know, regardless of what the policy views are, and I think the item spent a lot of time trying to go into the policy merits of it. You know, I don't want to get into that, but I think from a legal perspective, the only question is, do we have the power to do it? And that should be, I would think, the threshold question for any commission action. If we don't have the power to do something, we shouldn't contemplate doing it.
Commissioner O'Reilly, do you want to add to that?
I'm happy to jump in. I will say that on the policy merits, I do not agree with municipal broadband. I think it's an affront to capitalism. I don't think it should be allowed, but that is not my decision to make. That is for states and others to make. Policymakers on the Hill can make those decisions. If they pass a statute to allow this to go forward, then I will enact it without any reservations. But I agree with my colleague in terms of the illegality of the decision making. I think it tries to provide authority to localities that the Congress and the Constitution doesn't allow. So I think it has a really suspect ability to go forward. And I think that the third point I would raise is the Commission made a very interesting ruling here, the majority did anyway, and saying that a state had the right to have a complete ban on municipal ownership, but if it actually did anything to allow municipal ownership, it couldn't have any type of restriction, even if restriction was favorable to the taxpayers. So I went through and considered a number of different restrictions that the 19 to 21 states, depending on how you're counting, have enacted in this front. And there's so many of them that actually are in the best interest of taxpayers, and the state has made a decision, referendum. They actually require a locality to have a vote whether they want this to happen. Like that's somehow an affront to governance. They require they actually have a sound business plan. They actually have to submit a business plan. You actually have to conduct community hearings and actually someone actually know what you're doing rather than the municipal government moving forward without in secret. So there's a host of a litany of ideas that have been enacted over the years, a number of protections, and we're saying, no, none of those can go forward. The only thing you can do